Just wanted to go through the first impressions of the New Testament when I read it. um, Jesus was the natural son of Joseph and Mary. Jesus was a northern Israelite or Samaritan, but not a Jew. Mark and John were the earliest Gospels. The pastoral epistles of Paul, 1st, 2nd Timothy, and Titus, were anti-Pauline. I immediately, as soon as I read them, I'm like, this is somebody who doesn't like what Paul's saying or doesn't like the conclusions that people are going to draw from Paul, so they need to put a stop to it because it's too radical. Neither 1st or 2nd Peter was written by Peter. 1st, 2nd, 3rd John was not written by John or even the same person. Jude and James, again, not written by them. And John the Baptist was not executed at the request of a dancing girl. What interests me about the New Testament, as opposed to other religious books, is that it doesn't look like a religious book. It's not. To me, it's still not scripture, like the Quran, because it's telling real events, right? And a lot of times it doesn't jive with the person's message, so they have to go back and, I mean, there's so many. It's like, it's just so strange. Like, you have the virgin birth appearing in Luke and Matthew, right? But in the earlier Gospels, and even, you have Mary and his brothers and sisters thinking that he's crazy, saying, what the hell are you talking about? Or his neighbors saying, we know who you are. You're not, which is, this is why I get so irritated at the Jesus mythicists, because this stuff wouldn't appear. Now, any one of these things, looking at how I read the New Testament would destroy, or my view of it would destroy, Western fundamentalist Christianity, right? It doesn't affect Orthodoxy or Catholicism because they've already established what they believe, and they're not just basing things on the Bible immediately, right? And I think there's more to religion and spirituality than what a book says. It's not going to affect me. I couldn't understand how people took this as scripture, because you have two writings that are obviously the eyewitness account, and then a guy walking around, and then competing ideas, and then you have just letters to different communities. Oh yeah, and the Apocalypse is not written by the same John. But then after a while, because I knew the pastorals were, or I felt that they were anti-Pauline, the Apocalypse of John, he's talking about Paul, the lawless man, and the scarlet woman. That's Paul and his follower Thecla. That's crazy. And the epistles of Peter, why would Peter say anything like that? If you read them, what? I now do think James was written by James, and some of these views have changed. I'm just saying my initial first reading of it. I didn't believe in virgin birth, didn't believe in resurrection, did believe in the miracles though. Although now I think some of those are symbolic. But yeah, it's amazing. You have to come at the Bible with an extremely fundamentalist view. Whether you're an atheist or a theist, it doesn't matter, to not see some of the obvious things. Like when I first read the Old Testament, King David was obviously an evil, evil man who just kept covering his tracks, and it was just a bunch of propaganda written basically concurrent with King David's reign. And he just was just a murderous, illegitimate bastard and probably a Philistine. And to a large degree, I still believe that. All right, peace to you. I just wanted to let people know what I first impression after leaving Islam and reading the Bible for the first time. Those are my impressions that I got.